What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog. Got one more video for you guys before the new set drops. I had to hit up Historic Best of one more time. And for this one, we got a kind of a Dimir artifact list. And based around a couple creatures, Phylactery Lich and Shimmer Dragon. So Phylactery Lich is 3 black mana for a 5/5 indestructible. How sweet is that, right? When it enters, we put a lit Phylactery counter on an artifact you control. However, we control no permanents with Phylactery counters on them. You have to sacrifice your Phylactery Lich. That's a pretty big downside. So even if your opponent doesn't have removal for the Lich, if they can get rid of one of your artifacts, then your Lich goes away and they get rid of your artifact and your Lich. So that's kind of a bad deal. Ideally, you would have multiple Liches out, and so you would spread those Phylactery counters on multiple artifacts. So as long as you have any Phylactery counters out, then you're good to go. And then we also have a Shimmer Dragon. It's a 6 mana 5/6 flying. As long as we can get control 4 or more artifacts, it has hexproof. And it's got the sweet ability where you tap 2 untapped artifacts you control to draw a card. So you don't have to sink mana into it. You don't have to wait till your following turn. You can just boom, drop your Shimmer Dragon. It's got hexproof, and you can just tap your any of your artifacts to start drawing some cards. So that's pretty amazing. So we got the Lich that gives us indestructible, and we got the Shimmer Dragon that gives us hexproof. So it's 2 pretty powerful answers for a lot of decks, especially on the more casual side. Obviously, competitive decks have plenty of exile removal and board clears left and right. So this deck wouldn't probably not hold up too well in ranked play. But it is just kind of a fun little janky deck to play, especially at the end of the historic season. Yeah, just try to have some fun. We also have some additional card advantage here in the Immortal Sun. It's a 6 mana legendary artifact. It shuts down Planeswalkers' activated abilities. We don't have any Planeswalkers in our deck, so it's not going to affect us. And we get to draw an additional card on each of our draw steps. Our spells cost 1 colorless less to cast. We got a million artifacts. Some of our artifacts are actually free if we have the Immortal Sun out, so that's kind of cool. And then our creatures get +1/+1. So this kind of just checks off all the boxes for us. It is legendary and it's a 6 mana, so just the 1 of. For some additional card advantage, we have Treasure Map as a 4 of. It's a 2 mana artifact. You pay 1, scry 1, put a counter on it, and then once you have 3 counters on it, you transform it, and you make 3 treasure tokens, which the treasure tokens are, of course, artifacts. And it flips into Treasure Cove, which is a land that taps for a colorless mana, or you can tap it, sacrifice one of those treasure tokens to draw a card. So this is a great way to kind of fix your early draws with scrying, and then to draw you answers in the late game. And of course, just making 3 treasure tokens, maybe that's all you need just to make your Shimmer Dragon hexproof, and then you don't even have to sacrifice those treasure tokens to draw cards. You can just use the Shimmer Dragon's passive ability to tap them and draw cards. So that's pretty sweet. We also got a couple copies of Thaumatic Compass. It's card advantage in the form of searching for lands. We can pay 3 mana, search for a basic land, reveal it, put it into our hand, and then once we have 7 lands, we transform the compass, and the compass also transforms into a land, which taps for colorless, or we can remove an attacking creature on our opponent's side from combat. So that's pretty sweet. And then these are great targets for the Phylactery Lich counters, because even when they flip into lands, they still keep the Phylactery counter on them, and so but now they're lands, so it's much harder for your opponent to deal with them. So you do not lose your Lich once they flip over, so that's pretty sweet. It's a nice way to kind of hide the Phylactery counters and give your Lich just a little bit more protection. We also have a couple copies of Manifold Key, where we can untap our Thaumatic Compass or Treasure Map, or even our Transmogrifying Wand, which is a nice artifact removal, and then we can kind of use those abilities again. And we can also make our Lich unblockable with 3 mana. So the Transmogrifying Wand is a 3 mana artifact that enters with 3 counters on it. We pay 1, tap it to remove a counter from it, and we destroy target creature, and then that creature's controller gets a 2/4 White Ox token instead. So we can only do this at sorcery speed, so a little bit of a downside there, but it's a great way to deal with any of our opponent's larger creatures. And anything that the Ritual of Soot does not hit, the Transmogrifying Wand can help us take care of it. And then, of course, once it's a token, then the converted mana cost is 0, and Ritual of Soot will clean that up. And so with all the creature decks in Best of 1, we're running 3 copies Ritual of Soot, as we destroy all creatures with mana cost 3 or less. And of course the Lich does cost 3 or less, but it's indestructible, so Lich does not care about Ritual of Soot. It just shrugs it right off. And we're also running 4 copies of Golden Egg. It's a 2 mana artifact, of course. We draw a card when it comes into play. So probably not a great target for the Phylactery Lich counters, because we may want to sacrifice this to gain some life a little bit later on. But just kind of depending on where you're at, you may need to do that. Just make sure you don't obviously sacrifice it for the life gain, because you will lose your Lich in the process. We also have 4 copies of Navigator's Compass. It's a 1-mana artifact. When it comes down, we gain 3 life. And we tap it, and until end of turn, we target land we control, becomes a land type of our choice, basically. So we are in 2 colors, but the Lich, of course, is just 3 black. So if we have a couple swamps and island out, the Navigator's Compass can tap and then turn the island basically into a swamp, and then we can play our Lich, and we can just put the Phylactery counter on the Navigator's Compass, which is another great target, because if your opponent does have some interaction for artifacts, they can get rid of the Compass, which would get rid of your Lich, but then you get to keep your treasure map maybe, or your Thaumatic Compass, or your Shadowspear. So that's pretty cool. So Shadowspear, of course, is a 1-mana artifact. It is legendary, but the equipped creature gets +1/+1, has trample and hexproof. And then, of course, you can pay 1, and permanents on your opponent's side lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So this synergizes well with the Transmogrifying Wand, depending on what your opponent has. And another little bit of interaction is 3 copies of Brazen Borrower. So we do have lots of creature removal in the Ritual of Soot and Transmogrifying Wand, but for like planeswalkers or non-creature permanents that we might need to deal with, 3 copies of Brazen Borrower with the petty theft side, of course. We'll kind of at least bounce that and temporarily get rid of any enchantments or troublesome artifacts or planeswalkers until we can kind of find better answers, or just push through for damage with our Lich and just kind of buy some time that way. And of course, the Eldest Reborn can also answer planeswalkers. It's a 5-mana saga. When it comes down, your opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. So hopefully Ritual of Soot will have cleared the board from any creatures. And if they have a bigger creature left over, however, or just a planeswalker left, then Eldest Reborn can come down and just kind of finish the job. Then the second saga, they discard a card. And the third saga, you get to put any creature or planeswalker from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So that's your graveyard or your opponent's graveyard. So if they have found some way to deal with your Lich, like maybe they made you discard it, or they had a sacrifice effect, then you can always get that back with Eldest Reborn, or anything that you've been able to kill. With your removal, you can get it back out of your opponent's graveyard and then start using it to your advantage, even just holding it back as a blocker while you're attacking with your Lich or your Shimmer Dragon. So that's pretty cool. Yes, I think that's pretty much the deck. So we are running 24 lands. We do have a lot of early kind of card draw and ramp with the treasure map and things like that. So we should be able to get to our 6 mana plays just fine. So 6 islands, a couple Castle Locthwains for some additional card advantage, 8 swamps, and then of course 4 Drowned Catacomb, 4 Watery Grave. Alright, so it's a nice fun casual deck. Definitely can catch some players off guard with the Indestructible and the Hexproof. And if you can kind of get set up, you got a ton of card advantage. So it should match up pretty well with the best of 1 environment, but we'll see how we do. Alright, up against a Migrated Skink. Interesting. Alright, well, we do have the interaction with the Brazen Borrower. And the Golden Egg will, of course, replace itself. And if we don't just die in the first couple of turns, we've got the Shimmer Dragon and Immortal Sun. So that's pretty cool. Just looking for our Lich. And, of course, our opponent on Lightning Bolt, playing Knights. Looking for a Ritual of Soot. That would be our best draw. Locthwain into Islands. And the Golden Egg can help us find additional lands or a Ritual of Soot. Okay, no turn 2 play from our opponent, that's good. Island, not our best draw. But we can at least petty theft this Knight of Ebon Legion. Oh wow, so they're not even Mardu, they're just 3 colors, that's cool. I thought that was Tournament Grounds. It's Unclaimed Territory. Yeah, it's a nice card. Claimed Contender. Okay, so now's the time to bounce this. They don't get the ETB trigger, as they will not control another Knight or anything else. Transmogrifying Wand. Yeah, we'll go ahead and play that. May want to destroy something next turn. Imagine they just drop their Knight of Evil Legion, but we'll see what else they have. Shadowspear. Okay. So in that case, we'll probably just hold up the Petty Theft. Alright. Compass will buy us a little bit of time with a life gain. And I think we destroy the Knight of Evil Legion so they can't have any activated abilities on it. And we still have the Brazen Borrower. So we'll see if they just go to equip, and then we'll just bounce. That should slow them down quite a bit while we dig for our Ritual of Soot or Phylactery Lich. Knight of Autumn. I'm going to target my Transmogrifying Wand. And bounce your 3/3. We'll get another enter the battlefield trigger, but slow them down a little bit, soak up some damage. Another compass. That is not what we're looking for right now. And the life gain is fine, but we do need a Ritual of Soot. We do need a Phylactery Lich at some point. Grand Contender, now they will get the triggers thanks to Shadowspear. Of course, us slowing them down, that means they can't equip it yet. They're attacking in for 4. And they find a Swordmaster. Question is, do we even bother playing a Brazen Borrower if we do find a Ritual of Soot and our Borrower just dies? And that's not it. I think we just fire off this Eldest Reborn. Probably just drop the Ox. At least prevents 2 damage, and then we'll eventually be able to get something back out of their graveyard. What do they have? Just that Knight so far? Still looking for a Ritual of Soot though. Pulling ahead quite a bit here. Hitting for 6, down to 10. Got a couple turns to find something. The Swordmaster could be the death of us. Shimmer Dragon is 1 artifact shy of hexproof, but I think we're kind of forced into playing it. Just so we can kind of slow them down. At least play removal, then that might prevent them from playing another creature out at least. Of course they have Murderous Rider. Not technically dead yet, but basically with that Swordmaster in hand. When we get back there, Cavalier is a 4/4. So if they just have more removal, then at least get some 2/2 still. And if we somehow survive one more turn, we do get the Immortal Sun. But the Swordmaster could kill us at any time with the sorcery. So we are definitely on the ropes here. Diamond Knight. That's cute. Now the Swordmaster does 3 damage to us. There's a Ritual of Soot. They have a protection spell here? Nope. Alright, well we definitely need to start attacking in. Of course the Conclave Cavalier has Vigilance, so that's pretty sweet. It's pretty unlikely they have Haste and Abzan colors. Unless they're running like a random questing beast or something. There we go, that's pretty good. Forgot to use that last time. Let's make sure we draw some cards. Another land. We desperately need the life, so let's go ahead and sacrifice. Brazen Borrower. Well, that's awkward. Go ahead and start with the Immortal Sun and see if that affects their blocks. And we probably just shock in on the aerial. Shock in Watery Grave and then Petty Theft their aerial. Now we have 3 artifacts at least, so we're still 1 off from hexproof, but we can always draw. Make sure we draw another card here. Let's let them commit to a spell here. Oh, that's beautiful. And bounce the aerial. I think our opponent's dead. Whew. Got off to a rough start, but yeah, just that little bit of interaction thanks to Petty Theft saved us, and yeah, that's why the Ritual of Soot is in here. Did not quite have hexproof on the dragon, but yeah, using that Ritual of Soot to clear the board, and then Eldest Reborn kind of helped us out as well. Would have been nice to see a Lich a little bit earlier to slow them down. And of course, Shadowspear would have helped us gain some life. That's pretty close there, but kind of cool. Abzan Knights, I like it. Alright, up against Doot. Alright, hand seems okay. We have the golden egg to at least draw a card. My compass can kind of help us find any lands if we're stuck on 3 for some reason. Don't think it's worth shocking in for the Manifold Key, so I think we just Watery Grave tapped into Catacomb into Golden Egg and see where we're at. Forest into Llanowar. Okay, this is just elves. Yeah, let's go ahead and drop the Manifold Key with a swamp. That's fine. So even if we draw... So if we draw a Lich, then we're pretty much set here. Okay, Wayfinder. Beast Whisper is a good one. It's going to give them a ton of card advantage. Golden Egg, some card advantage of our own. Ooh, a Ritual of Soot. Hope we can cast it in time before they get too much going. Turn 3 Beast Whisper. Don't have a good answer for that. Lich is pretty good. It'll slow them down. Put on the Manifold Key in case we have to sacrifice our Golden Egg later. Double Beast Whisper. That's brutal. That is brutal. Okay, don't know what that's about. I guess they know the power of the Phylactery Lich, but double Beast Whisper, I mean, that's a ton of card advantage. I don't know if you've seen those Elf Ball decks, but they can get out of control fast. Even on just a couple of lands, they can just do some crazy things, go super wide, super fast. And if they're running like the Finale plan or Nissa, Enrace Forerunners, anything like that as finishers, then it's pretty brutal. Hand's not amazing, but I will take the treasure maps. That'll help us find what we're looking for. And of course, if we draw a Lich, the Navigator's Compass will fix this island for us. So, yeah, hand seems okay. Alright, we're 3 artifacts down towards our Shimmer Dragon being hexproof. Shadowspear. We'll just lead with the compass. Alright, another compass. Let's go with a treasure map. probably just hold off on scrying just to see if we can find something. Franco, okay, so they're on some kind of, what was that, 4 colors? Well, Castle Locthwain is not quite what we're looking for. Go ahead and drop another Compass and Shadowspear, and we'll start scrying here. Look for like a Ritual of Soot or Transmogrifying Wand. The life gain is pretty nice. Island, no. Go ahead and set an upkeep on our stop on our upkeep. We have the second scry here. Looking for ideally a Ritual of Soot. Compass is okay, but doesn't really line up very well with Krenko. Okay, go and get our second map down. We'll scry now. Land, not really. So good. Just looking for a Ritual of Soot here. Or take a couple hits, but not too many more. Making 1,000,000 tokens. Okay, they're holding up a couple mana. Alright, go ahead and flip this treasure map. Golden egg, not what we're looking for, just Ritual of Soot. That's all we're looking for. Okay, we have 3 of them, but of course they are nowhere to be found when you need them. We could play Shimmer Dragon. 1, 2, 3. We lose all 3 of our treasure tokens, but we still have 4 artifacts. And we'll flip our second treasure map next turn. It's not ideal, but I think we do need to slow this down. And at least have hexproof. Still looking for a Ritual of Soot to clean up this board. Helm of the Host. That's cute. And then block 1, taking what, 4? And next turn the Helm of the Host, make 1,000,000. Still no Ritual of Soot. Eldest Reborn does not cut it in this situation. I think we just equip and drop the Manifold Key. So there you go. We can draw what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can draw 3 cards. That's pretty sweet. Okay, they're gonna equip, of course. I'll make a copy and then just attack all. Nope. With the copied one. So we are gonna gain 6, but we're gonna take a bunch of damage though. Down to 11, gain 6, back up. They're just gonna keep going wide. Okay, let's draw a bunch of cards, look for that ritual. Phylactery Lich is cool. Not a rituals. Come on, Ritual of Soot. Wow. I mean, the Immortal Sun's okay. Let's keep digging here. Nope. Well, Transmogrifying Wand does answer. Krenko. Do we attack? Yeah, let's attack. Let's gain some life. Still have mana for a Ritual, so let's try one more time. Treasure map. Let's go ahead and Lich. Compass, gain some life. Would like a Ritual of Soot here to kind of clean up this board at some point. Lotus Field in your 4-color deck makes perfect sense. Could start attacking in here, but they don't have great attacks. Ooh. Shimmer Dragon, tap, tap. Petty Theft is pretty decent. I can hold that for the Helm of the Host if they find something to equip. I think we just attack him through the air and hold back the Lich on blocks. Then drop the Immortal Sun. And I don't think we want to lose too many of these artifacts. Just play it safe and just hold up the okay, so our Lich is still around, and we just equip it. Draw a million cards. Let's see, actually the Lich survives, but the Shadowspear goes away, along with everything else. We lose the Lich because it has no artifacts. Well, we can get our second Lich down. And pass the turn. And we're at 32, they're down to 8. Blood. Okay, so you're Kranko, Helm of the Host deck, but you're running Blood Sun, Lotus Field, and Planar Cleansing, and then you pull a Liliana out of nowhere. Okay. I mean, it's working against us, but it doesn't really make any sense. And you make a 2/2.
Good, mindless minion.
Let's bounce it. Scry with our treasure map. Don't think we're looking for Ritual of Soot, just more artifacts. Compass is decent. We want to keep her off of making a sacrifice, so we'll go ahead and swing at her. And we'll go ahead and drop our Shimmer Dragon. See what they got. Chupacabra, targeting Shimmer Dragon. Okay, we'll draw some cards. Or a card. Liliana can make a zombie. And we can bounce that.
Good help is easy.
Actually,
to
we
find
can. So Ritual of Soot can clear up the token. Then the Petty Theft can bounce the Borrower.
Have you seen my hair?
And that should be game. Okay, they draw a card, but they just have 1 mana open. And we bounce the Chupacabra. And swing in for 10. So their deck is just kind of a random pile of cards. Kind of scared us a little bit, that Planar Cleansing. But hey, we got there. Phylactery Lich, indestructible, but the Planar Cleansing wiping out the artifacts made us sacrifice the Lich, so that was unfortunate. But yeah, just kind of a nice, fun, casual deck. Lich is a pretty powerful card. Obviously, it's vulnerable to exile removal, and then of course Shimmer Dragon with the hexproof. We got a million artifacts in our deck. Tons of card advantage, so yeah, it's a nice, fun deck to play. Definitely looking for any kind of fun casual decks for the end of the season. Obviously the season gets pretty old and you see the same decks over and over again. Definitely look for anything different to play, and that's what the end of the season is for. Just look for something different to play, last chance before the new set comes out, and kind of changes everything up. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in Ikoria. Take care.